There's more? Yes, there's more. We've got some more severe weather on the way, where scenes like this could unfold across parts of the country that haven't seen storms in a long time. Now, who's all at risk and how bad could it get? We're going to have all that and more in today's forecast, starting now. I'm a turtle and my name is Jordan. Get out of here, you stupid turtle. Sorry about that, guys. Let's go ahead and get right into this forecast today. Looking at our visible satellite, starting things off, we've got this low pressure that has been the catalyst, that has been the cause of all of our severe weather the past couple of days. And guess what, guys? It will be the cause of our severe weather today. Along this week, low pressure, we're going to have a cold front that will kick off all of our storms for the East Coast. That's right. That'll be the folks that'll be most at risk today. Also, notice how we've got some big time sun ongoing that's going to destabilize things in the area most at risk. But the rest of the country looks the best it has in a long time. We've got cloud-free conditions basically everywhere except for the Tennessee and Ohio Valley and Ohio. We've also got the remains of this MCS. Look at this thing slamming its way off to the south. There could be more showers and storms along that boundary once again today as things destabilize, the atmosphere heats up. Now, this is another thing on satellite I want to call your attention to. This is Hurricane Eric, and this made landfall in Mexico as a Category 4 hurricane. So things in the Pacific Ocean are getting kicked off in a major way. Although we still are quiet here in the Gulf and the Atlantic, that will change at some point in the near future. What a beast of a storm. Hope and pray everyone in Mexico and Southwest Mexico were okay from this. Back to our severe weather, and this is what we've got today. This was the area I was talking about that hasn't seen these types of storms in a good bit, and that is the East Coast. Our East Coast brethren are about to get slammed with a couple of rounds of storms today, as we've got that cold front that'll be pushing off to you guys. And then we've got a secondary area of severe storms possible up through Canada and down into the northern plains. Now, our tornado threat today is low. We are only talking about this 2%, and that goes from Maine down through New York City, even into parts of New Jersey and Maryland and Virginia. But that is not the main threat for today. Tornadoes are definitely possible, especially in those lines. But the main threat is by far the wind. Look at this big time 30% risk that goes from New York City all the way down through Richmond, Virginia. So heads up, that will be your main risk today. Some widespread damaging winds, maybe some power outages, even as far north as Vermont and New Hampshire, and all the way down into North Carolina. And hail, not really going to be a threat here, but possibly up in the northern plains. That will be more of a threat, as we could have some isolated supercells that form. Even though they might be supercells, they shouldn't be tornadic. All right, let's take a look at the big picture here, and let's show you how today is going to time out. We're starting the period. We're starting today with this big time MCS that's moving through the southeast. We saw that on satellite. That'll be the focal point for storms as this thing slams its way down all the way to the Gulf. And eventually this thing will gust itself out, but then there'll be more storms that form right down here, right along the Gulf Coast. So heads up, our Georgia, Florida Panhandle, Mississippi, and Alabama brethren. This is pretty much your generic daytime storms you normally get. Now, further to the north, here is where we've got the biggest risk for severe weather. Let's go back. Let's start today around noon, and look at this low. It's working its way off to the north and east. We've got that trailing cold front behind it. Some scattered storms are starting to develop across Pennsylvania and New York. Those will be the storms that form into that big line. Watch as we go throughout the day. We're going to zoom in a little bit further here. Look at these several complexes of storms here, and even up into here. Those are your severe storms with strong winds, and maybe a spin up or two is possible this afternoon and evening. And if we zoom in even further here, places like New York City, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., even down into Richmond will be under the gun today for some very strong storms. Time for all you big city living people to get in on the storm action. Yeah! Okay, so going throughout the evening, by the time we hit dinner time around 8, 9 p.m. and sunset, we likely will have a broken line of storms that will be moving almost off the coast. That's when New York and areas to the north are going to get hit. And then watch as we go throughout the overnight hours, a big time line will be sweeping across New Jersey and Maryland. That will pack very strong winds. So heads up there. That's right in the heart of the enhanced risk for today. We could get severe storms as far north as Maine. So heads up there, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, even down into Connecticut, Rhode Island. Strong winds are the primary threat, but we can't rule out a tornado, especially earlier in the day. And then our northern plains, brethren, if we go back and take a look at how your day will time out, watch, things really don't pop for the majority of the day. Those scattered supercells don't fire until about dinner time or after dark, right in there. But watch what happens by about 10, 11 p.m. ride. Boom! Well, bam! Big time supercells form. We likely will have an after dark severe risk from North Dakota all the way down through Minnesota. So heads up our Minneapolis, Duluth, and Eau Claire brethren. Get storms on the way late tonight. Outside of that, the rest of the United States looks surprisingly clear. After today, our weather is actually going to change in a major way. And you can see that if you look at the dew points. So here is that cold front. Here is that low pressure that is sweeping across the eastern half of the United States. That will push all of that moisture that's been being pulled up from the Gulf, that'll push it offshore. So we will have a day or two in the eastern half of the United States, especially the Northeast, of less humid, less moist conditions. But notice how behind that cold front, we've got warm, moist air that just won't quit, that continues to surge to the north. And with all that moisture getting back to the United States, we should have severe storms there tomorrow. And look at that, almost right on cue. We got a risk for severe storms for tomorrow for the northern plains where the tongue of that moisture is streaming. Man, I'm good. So heads up, our Bismarck to Minnesota down to Wisconsin, brethren. This is where we've got severe storms that'll focus tomorrow. Now, look at this, guys. We've got a 5% tornado risk for tomorrow. That does include Bismarck. That does include Fargo. It does not include Minneapolis, but I can see them extending this a little bit further to the east. Strong wind and large hail are likely. Now here's how tomorrow's going to play out. We're going to start the day in Chicago with the leftovers of this MCS slide through and slam into the city. Could be a very noisy morning across Chicago. That's going to steadily die, though, as we go throughout the afternoon and evening. And then we're going to have showers and storms that redevelop in this region this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon going into tomorrow evening. Let's go around 7, 8, 9 p.m. Watch us ready. Boom! We've got one wave that moves through. That could pack quite a punch. And then we could have a more of an isolated threat as some storms move across from Wyoming through South Dakota and eventually into Minnesota as well. And look at those storms just absolutely pump along that ridge. And here's why we've got that tornado threat for tomorrow. This is the winds at 850 millibars, and this right here, this is a low-level jet that will be absolutely cranking. So anytime you get winds at the lower levels that are very strong from this direction, and then you've got winds at the upper levels that'll from this direction, that creates that spin in the atmosphere that's needed for tornadoes. So that, my friends, is why we have that 5% risk in place. There's going to be some twist, and we know there's going to be lift. This is your cape, your storm fuel. So we've got twist and lift. That's all you need for tornadoes. So heads up our Wisconsin and Minnesota brethren. Oh, thank goodness. It looks like Saturday, although we do have a marginal risk for severe storms, the majority of the country is calming down as we've had an incredibly active severe weather stretch. Take a deep breath. At least here in the United States. In Canada, things could actually be starting to crank in a major way. What about for the rest of us, and how is it going to look weather-wise, and how will it feel? Well, unfortunately, guys, I do not have good news. Remember we talked about that cold front that's going to push all the moisture off the coast? Yeah, there's going to be more moisture surging right behind it. So this is the weekend, and we've got dew points in the 70s. Absolutely bulldozing their way into the northern United States. Watch as we go into Sunday. Things get even worse. We could have dew points of 74 in Chicago, close to 80 up in Fargo. Guys, that is absolutely, positively, unbelievably moist. And notice as we go into Monday, into Tuesday, into Wednesday, all of that color, see that right in there? That is 70 plus. Get ready to sweat your eyes out as this moisture continues to hang around. Hey, we asked for summer, we got it. Now, in terms of temperatures, there will be a slight cool down today and tomorrow in the Northeast, but outside of that, we are going to remain pretty consistent with our plains brethren being in the 80s and 90s and our eastern United States brethren in the 70s and 80s along that as well. And notice as we go throughout the next several days, there's no cool down in sight. There is going to be a cold front up here, so that might bring some temporary relief to our Dakota brethren. But for the rest of us, our temperatures will be sitting consistently hot for the next several days. Look at this, down in Atlanta, Charlotte, we're talking about the 90s in the Southeast. The summer is here to stay, even 90s in the Ohio Valley. Are you kidding me? And a big reason for that is we are going to have a ridge of high pressure that sets up over the country. You're going to have warm, moist air being pulled up from the Gulf, and underneath of that ridge, that's where all of that heat starts to build in. We're going to have very warm temperatures all underneath of that. That's my drawing of a fire. I'm such a good artist. And that ridge gets even stronger on Sunday and Monday. So ridiculously hot temperatures right underneath of that. Might be time to get to the pool. And in terms of our rainfall, guys, we're going to dry out here in the Midwest. We've had storm after storm here. We are going to dry out in a big way over the next couple of days. Our big winners in rain are by far going to be on the northern side of that ridge and on the southern side of that ridge. In between, you're not going to get much, if any, rain at all. And last but not least, we're taking a look back at the tropics, and this is what we got going on in the Eastern Pacific, where we did have a Category 3 Hurricane Eric. It did make landfall in Mexico. We've also got another area that we're watching. Things are heating up here in a big way. But then if we look at the Atlantic and the Gulf, we've got no hurricane activity once again expected for the next 7 days. We might go the entire month of June without seeing a hurricane or a named system, but that does not mean that this year won't be super active. I am expecting July to pick up in a major way. And if you live down there, don't get too stressed. I've got family down there along the Gulf Coast, so I'm not telling them to worry just yet. When it's time to do something or take action, you'll hear it from me first here. Wow, guys, check this video out from yesterday from Columbus. I caught this from my balcony as a storm rolled through the city. Look at how those rain curtains just slammed their way off to the west. Unbelievable storm I had late last night. This is why I love summertime, baby. You get stuff like this all the time. Also, guys, I hope you've been enjoying our outbreak aftermath coverages that we've been doing. We've had some unbelievable guests like Connor and Dan and Stormrunner Media and Jordan and Sierra and all of them and Edgar. I'm incredibly lucky to have them join my show. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. What can we do more for you here at the Stormfrontfreaks Network? Because we're all about you. Also, guys, don't forget Sierra Lindsay is joining us on the podcast tonight. Be here on YouTube, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. It's going to be an absolute banger. I think we'll end on that note. That's all I got for you guys today. Happy Thursday. Hopefully all of you have a wonderful day. Find someone, tell them you love them. Do something nice for someone today. This is Stormcat 5, and I'll see you on the next one.